Hey guys, AuspiciousAussie here, and welcome to episode 24 of my Southampton series. So this is of course the post-January transfer window, as well as the live com and fixture review. And the live com today will be against Newcastle United, who are our bogey team of the save. And another thing to look at, we're currently sitting in 11th position. We can go equal points with Palace and Derby today with a win. But Newcastle, they're actually coming first at the moment. They are a point ahead of Manchester City with a game in hand, so if they beat us, they could go 4 points clear at the top. As I mentioned, Newcastle are actually our bogey team. Not sure how I can look at... we'll have a look at it in a second, but they're definitely our bogey team. Obviously, the last 5 previous meetings we haven't beaten them, and I'm not actually sure if we've actually ever beaten them. I don't think we have. But anyway, let's get into the transfers. There was quite a bit of activity. We let a few players go. As you can see, a couple of players here we've actually set up deals for. That's just an inquiry. But yeah, Shongwei is a player we set a deal up for. He is at Orlando Pirates in South Africa. Looks a very, very decent centre-back. He's not outstanding, but he's 19, 20 determination, decent technicals for a central defender, and decent physicals. So he has the potential to maybe be something in the future. We'll have to wait and see. 5 caps for the national team already at 19 is pretty decent as well. Yeah, just have to wait and see. I don't think he got a work permit either, so obviously he'll be loaned out to Barrow, and we'll just see how he develops there before he gains his work permit. Another South African player is Montuel Twelly Makwano. Yeah, I don't know. We'll go with Makwano. Again on a Bosman. Looks pretty decent. He's a striker that can play on either wing. He's right-only footed though, and yeah, I've got to get into another thing a little bit further on about the tactic. But he's got 1 cap for the national team at 18, plays for Kaiser Chiefs. As I mentioned, we got him on a Bosman, so free transfer. His pace isn't too bad. Very good dribbling, first touch and heading. And his mentals aren't too bad for an 18-year-old striker either. Needs a little bit of work on his finishing, but definitely looks like a player we can do a decent job with, and I'm quite happy with that, especially on a free transfer. I think he also needs to get a work permit, so we'll have to send him to Barrow, and so yeah, just see how he goes until he gets his work permit in the same boat as Shongwei, and hopefully they can both develop quite nicely and be decent first-team players for us in the future, or at least backups. The next player we're bringing in is Paolo Graziosi. Graziosi? Yeah, Graziosi. 18-year-old French player. Pretty decent. Stade de Reims. I think they might be in League 2 at the moment. Yeah, they are. And yeah, we just managed to snap him up really. He's another striker. Very good finishing, heading. He's got quite decent physicals as well. But if you look at his mentals, he's got some really outstanding ones. Work rate, teamwork, positioning, however, is very, very low, and that's a worry. But he's got 15 determination, decent leadership as well. Not something you really expect from a striker. And at 18, I think we can at least flip him over for quite a decent profit in 2 or 3 seasons' time. So yeah, quite happy with those Bosmans we've set up there. Didn't really go in for any senior players, more just the youth players that we could try and pinch there, because they're all, of decent quality and potential. So we're going to the outs first of all. Phil Jones was sold finally to Swansea there for 700,000. I think Swansea are in the Championship, so good to see him not in our own division, because he'd probably bite us in the arse, despite never ever performing for us. We then sold Alan Halilovic, of course the player I brought in on a Bosman at the start of the season. We sold him to Frankfurt for 7.5 mil, which was actually his value. He never really played. I think he might have played 1 game for us. 3 games. No, just one. Just the 1 game. Yeah, I was right. Didn't perform well, and we have lots of players that were ahead of him. Of course, we We've also changed the tactic, and he didn't really fit exactly what we needed. He's more of a playmaker type player or an inside forward, and we don't really play with either of those in this new tactic that I'm using at the moment. We then disappointingly sold Emmanuel Mamana. Of course, we only brought him in last season. We sold him to Manchester City for 28 million up front. I think that's a pretty decent amount of money. I think we made 18 mil profit on him within one season's time. But he was performing very well this season with 18 games, 1 goal, 1 assist, and a 7.04 so far in the first half of the season. So it was a bit hard to take that. A couple of players were actually upset. Kostic brought it up in a team meeting that he was, quite upset at this, that we actually sold him, and he needed a player brought in to replace him. Otherwise, he was going to cause massive issues for us. And the final player we sold was Wojciech Szczesny. He was sold on the 1st of February, so right on the deadline of deadline day. Sold to Sheffield Wednesday, who had been after him last season as well. Of course, we got our new goalkeeper in Trapp this season, so I was quite happy to let him go. He is 30 years old. They paid 5 mil with a potential to get another 750,000 out of that. So that's pretty decent. His value's obviously shot up, but he was starting to complain about first team football, and we kind of just wanted to get him out of the club without really causing too many issues. We nearly made double our money back on him, so I'm quite happy with that. The players we brought in. First of all, we brought in Uros Golubovic for 1.1 million. 16-year-old Serbian striker, looks very good. Lacking in the physicals, but that's where we're going to work on with him predominantly. But he's got very decent mentals and technicals. I don't even know what I'm saying. Very decent technical and mental attributes already for a 16-year-old. 1.1 mil from Udinese. The next player we brought in was our Mamana replacement, David Silva from Maritimo. 20-year-old Portuguese centre-back. Very, very good, as you can see. Very good mentals. That was a real standout there. Good leadership as well, so he could potentially be a future captain for us. Needs a little bit of work on tackling, but apart from that, the technicals are all looking pretty good. The physicals, again, very, very good, apart from his jumping reach, which is what we're also working on with him at the moment. So pretty much tackling and jumping, once those both get up a little bit higher, he'll pretty much be one of the better centre-backs that we've ever had. And the final player we brought in was another centre-back, Eric Lemons from Genk for 1.5 million, just a 17-year-old Belgian centre-back who looks pretty good, to be fair, but obviously at 17 he does still need a bit of work. He only got a 2.5 star potential, so not the greatest in the world. 1.5 star current ability, which seems a little bit low for what he is, to be honest. But of course his work rate is quite low, as well as some of the more needed mental attributes for a centre back. So that's basically all the transfer activity we did. We're getting to the fixtures now. Of course, the previous episode, I cannot remember. I think it was Crystal Palace. Yes, it was. So we followed that up with a 3-0 defeat. Sorry, almost said victory. A 3-0 defeat to Sheffield Wednesday. Very disappointing result, not going to lie. Van Dijk got a straight red in the first 10 minutes of the game. And then they got 3 goals, basically. They were 2-0 up in the 66th minute. And then they got one right on the death of full time, pretty much. Really disappointing result, not going to lie. 3-0 to Sheffield Wednesday, who are pretty much, I would say they're a weaker team than us. We did bounce back, however, and got a 2-1 victory over Leicester, and that was away from home as well. Zivkovic with a brace for us, and Miniam Mino for Leicester there. So another, a decent little away victory there over Leicester. We then versed Manchester United, could only manage a 0-0 draw at home. Nick Hurst getting sent off in the 90th minute. But a decent little result. As you can see, we probably deserved to win, to be honest. We had the lion's share of possession and, shots and targets. So probably deserved to win there, but I'll take a draw against United, who are doing very, very poorly this season anyway. We then got the victory over Everton in the next game at home at St Mary's. Zivkovic and Redmond on the score sheet for us there, and Berahino for Everton. who were actually putting together a half-decent squad, I'm not going to lie. They made some really good signings in January. We then lost 2-0 away from home to Arsenal. Mamana scoring an own goal to open it, and Alexis Sanchez also on the score sheet there. Once again, dominating possession against Arsenal away from home is a pretty interesting statistic. We then lost 2-0 to Chelsea in a game I was really upset about. We probably didn't deserve to get the draw, but by the 84th minute we still hadn't conceded, and I thought we might actually be able to, nick the draw here at Stamford Bridge. But yeah, Diego Costa in the 84th, and then Jason Denayer in the 90th minute, getting all 3 points for Chelsea there. We bounced back against Watford, however. Nathan Redmond, who had a lot of interest in him during January, I think I actually rejected a $33.5 million bid from Manchester City, who wanted to sign him back for some reason. Or it might have been United, actually. I think they were both after him, but I think the $33.5 million was from United. And then City was just offering me peanuts for him, and I was obviously not going to sell him back. So he opened the scoring there. Victor Wanyama also on the score sheet, and we managed to keep Watford to 0 shots on target, so that's pretty decent. I think around this time was when I started to use the new tactic. Actually, it might have been after Brentford. Yeah, I think it was after Brentford, which was the next game, and that was a 2-0 loss at home to the weakest team in the league. They were coming last. As you can see, we got Nick Hurst sent off once again. Just getting lots of players sent off, which wasn't working. I kind of needed to change the tactic, simply not just for that fact, but once we were getting our players sent off, we were just losing, conceding goals very quickly after that stage. So they got their goals through Haller and Greg Stewart. And yeah, typical losing against the last place team, who I think that probably was their first win for the whole season, to be honest. I might actually check that in a second, we'll see. So yeah, I changed the tactic. I downloaded one from FM Base, really looked good, and it pretty much fit all the positions that I actually wanted to play, especially an AMC. I really wanted to implement an AMC into the tactic, and obviously playing 5 at the back, you're not really going to have the chance to play an AMC, so it's pretty much a 4-2-3-1 with a shadow striker AMC, and that gives Franco Lopez a real chance to cement himself as a first-teamer in that AMC role, and he's done quite well. He's currently out injured though, which is a little bit disappointing, but anyway, so we changed tactic, and then we got a 2-2 draw against West Ham. Pretty disappointing, not going to lie. They opened the scoring in the first minute through Hamadallah. We got one back through Balic. We then went 2-1 up through Nathan Redmond in the 62nd minute. Not to mention we were also down to 10 men by this stage. Van Dijk got sent off in the 32nd minute with a straight red card once again. And yeah, so all the way up to the 92nd minute, the second minute of stoppage time, and Hamadallah manages to get his second goal of the game and rescue a point for West Ham. Pretty disappointing. We then managed to bounce back against Queen's Park Rangers in the FA Cup third round. Nice little 2-0 victory. Zivkovic and Redmond played a bit of a full-strength team for this one, as you can see, but we only had 4 at the back there, as this was just after we changed the tactic. And as you can see, Franco Lopez, 8.3 as the AMC there. Very impressive result, although it is against Championship Club QPR. We then got battered by Derby County, and I was like, ugh, tactic might not be working that well. But if you look at the stats, we absolutely dominated them. For some reason, their goalkeeper just played out of his skin, I suppose. Their goal scorers were Vere and Rog. They also got a goal in the 92nd minute as well. But since then, we've gone 4 games unbeaten, and a pretty decent result in there to throw in. But the next game was a 4-1 victory over Watford. I couldn't even remember the last time we actually scored 4 goals in a single game, but Zivkovic got a brace for himself, Mamana and Shaqiri also on the score sheet, and then you got Victor there for Watford. We then managed to keep a clean sheet with a 2-0 victory over Hull at home. Zivkovic with a penalty and Franco Lopez on the score sheet there. Once again, picking up a Man of the Match award, and that shadow striker AMC position looks very good, and he's very, very well suited to that role. And I'm happy I'm actually using him. If we had used this tactic maybe 2 seasons earlier, the game time that he would have been getting, he might have developed into an absolute world-class player. He's very good now, don't get me wrong, but he could have become something really great. And there was a guy that left a comment about him, it was probably about 6 or 7 episodes ago, maybe a bit more, talking about how good he actually could be. And I took that with a pinch of salt and thought, well, we've got some better strikers ahead of him. He doesn't really have the heading, doesn't really play that well as an advanced forward, more of a poacher or an AMC, as you can see by how he's playing at the moment. So yeah, should have listened to that commenter. So I guess you guys should leave more comments and more feedback for me, and I might actually take it into consideration a bit more. But anyway, the next game was a 2-1 win away from home against Man City. Absolutely awesome result. They opened the scoring through Julian Brandt. We got one back through Zivkovic, as you can see there, and then Andrea Balic in the 86th minute got us the winner. Was absolutely delighted with this win here. As you can see, we actually had, it was pretty even, to be fair. We, of course, dominated the possession there. And if at the moment we're dominating possession and actually getting the wins as well, which I find is the most important thing, of course. I don't really care about the possession stat as long as I'm winning the games. But very happy to dominate them, especially away from home. Even with my tactic, we were dominating possession away from home against some big teams. So that's good to see. And in the final game I just played was a 2-1 victory in the FA Cup 4th round against Leeds United. A little bit of a rotated squad. Of course, it gave David Silva his debut finally. Of course, he didn't play too well. 6.9, played better than Tom Aguila, to be fair, though. And the whole team played quite well. We opened the scoring through Leon McCourt, who is playing that AMC role. Managed to get himself his first goal of the season there, so quite happy with that. Kostic also on the score sheet just before half time. This guy, Matej Vidra, sorry. A lot of you guys will probably be quite familiar with him from previous FMs. He's been quite good in the past, and he got a goal for Leeds United there. But then they also got Dariqua sent off with a straight red, and they never really looked like coming back after that. I gave Diakate, a start, and as you'd expect, hasn't performed in this game either. So a little bit worried about that. We paid 10 mil up front for him, and he has not really done anything. He hasn't even scored a goal yet. And he's actually started a couple of games here and there. So yeah, not looking good as far as he goes. But, we've got Franson as well, who is another youngster who looks half decent. And then we've got Cenk Vural, who is the Turkish regen that we've loaned out this season to, I think it was Deportivo in La Liga. So, yeah, we've got a few options for strikers. We've also got a guy, I think Graham White in the under-21s, who looks good as well. English guy that we bought a few seasons ago. But anyways, we're going to get into the Newcastle game now. Of course, I mentioned, as you can see there, 13 matches played. Southampton have never won a game. In 13 games, we've never won. That is crazy. I actually can't believe that. That's really interesting. Hopefully today we can break the deadlock. This is the new tactic, Sir Goal-A-Lot. He's a guy he created the tactic over on FM Base. I might even put the link in the description. Very good tactic. Lots of instructions though. Highly structured, counter-attacking. And it's been solid for me so far. I've really enjoyed it. As I mentioned, I love this shadow striker AMC position. It's very good. And we're back to 4 at the back, which is interesting. And a sweeper keeper, something I've never played before either. A little bit different there. So today's lineup will be Trapp in goals. We got Sakai as the right back, Rodriguez as the left back, Silva, and we'll actually change this. We'll bring Van Voorthuizen back in for Tom Aguila. We got Silva, Van Voorthuizen, we got Balic, Wanyama will come in for Hurst there as well. Actually, Balic is alright. We got McCourt, who I might change as well. We'll have as you can see, Lopez is still out injured, which is a little bit disappointing. You know what? McCourt scored in the last game. We'll keep him in there for this one. So McCourt as the shadow striker. We got Kostic on the left wing, Redmond on the right wing. We will also bring Zivkovic back in for Diakate because he is horrible. We need to put Graham Myers on the bench. He is our 18-year-old goalkeeper. Of course, we have what's his name? I'll have a look very quickly here. I've forgotten his name. Dimitrovic, that's it. We've got Dimitrovic, who is not playing too well in La Liga at the moment. 18 starts, 38 goals conceded. But his stats are going up slightly despite playing a 6.43. Hopefully that's not a picture of things to come, because that is quite poor. He's only kept the one clean sheet in 18 games for Celta Vigo. Yeah, so that's a little bit worrying. They're currently, I think they're in the relegation zone over there. So not too good. We'll wait and see how he goes after this season, though. He will be our backup goalkeeper for next season, don't get me wrong. We'll probably also play him in cup games next season, because he does look like a decent goalkeeper. Hopefully he'll develop into our first team goalkeeper after Trapp retires, who is very similar in stat-wise to Dimitrovic. So we might even have to get him to tutor him. Maybe not. He's got low determination, but we'll see how he goes. Trapp's, started to play well, conceding a lot fewer goals, and of course kept the clean sheet against Hull. So today's bench will be Myers, Tom Aguila, Emeterio, Hurst, Morrison, Shaqiri, Franson. So let's advance here. We've got to give Graham Myers his number. Gets the number 20 there. Hopefully we can finally break our dry streak against Newcastle here. We are at home. They are coming first, which is, yeah, they're in fine form at the moment. I think they've still got Luis Adriano up front, and then they got this guy Otavio, who is very, very good. And of course they are the favourites here today. So I'm just going to tell the boys we owe Newcastle after what happened last time. We'll try and get them fired up a bit more as well. Try and get them pumped up for the game. It's not a bad team talk there either. Let's see what we can do, eh? Let's try and have a good game. Hopefully we can nick a few goals, because I think Newcastle will be quite deadly going forward themselves. But we've won the ball here. Balic to McCourt, Wanyama, Balic. Very good possession-based tactic, this one. Despite being on counter mentality, you do keep the ball quite a lot. It's not exactly a counter-attacking... Oh, Zivkovic almost in behind there. It's not exactly a counter-attacking tactic. I think that the counter mentality is more to do with being a little bit more solid defensively, if that makes sense. We've got Redmond running down the right wing here. Can he cross it? Zivkovic gets in, 1-0. Brilliant start. 3 minutes in. It's his 12th goal of the season so far. Getting very close to how many goals he got last season as well, which will tell you something. He started off quite slow, but since we brought in this new tactic, he has been scoring pretty much a goal a game, I think. He's very near that, at the very least as well. And yeah, this is without Lopez in the team. I feel like when we actually have Lopez starting behind Zivkovic, they're very, very deadly. So I'm quite happy to see him return. Hopefully it's soon. I'm not actually too sure how long that the injury is, but might have to check that after this game. We'll have a look after the game, I think, and we'll just find out how long he's actually out for, because I think I need to know. I'm a very big fan of him at the moment. As you can probably tell, I haven't really stopped talking about him. Sakai with the cross there. Kostic back to Balic. Out wide to Sakai. First time cross. Kostic. Still Kostic. Oh, and that's a good little save there by the keeper's foot. And then Silva heads it all the way back to Trapp. Okay, so we're performing quite well. Newcastle 0. Oh, of course, as I say something, it turns to 1. They've got the 1 shot, 0 on target so far. Sakai picks up a yellow card. And Kostic has picked up a knock here. That's a little bit upsetting. We're going to bring Shaqiri on. Pretty much a like-for-like swap. Shaqiri's been playing very well at the moment as well. I just decided to keep Kostic in the first team after that FA Cup game. But Luis Adriano in behind, good double save there by Trapp. And we could be on a counter-attack. Zivkovic, Wanyama, Redmond. Can he cross it? Yes, he can. Balic. Ooh, good save by Allison. Alright, so Shaqiri's on now. He's a very good player, as I mentioned before. Quite deadly, to be honest. I think he's got a few assists. Both the wingers are actually picking up quite a few assists with this new tactic we've got here. And Rodriguez picks up a yellow card just before half-time. Oh, I am pleased, but we're only 1-0 up at the moment. We are pretty much dominating them, or we did in that first half anyway. Looking pretty decent. Okay, not a lot going on so far in this second half. Newcastle have racked up a couple of shots on target. Another thing I forgot to mention when I was going over the transfers is Rodriguez has actually asked to be transferred. I can't remember who it was, might have been City, tried to come in and sign him. He does have a release clause, which is 37.5 million, as Redmond comes forward there. They didn't want to meet that though. I think they offered like 30 something or 20. It might have been 28 actually. I think it was 28, and I rejected it because I feel like he's worth a bit more than that. Zivkovic, oh come on boys. McCourt on the rebound and he still couldn't put it in the back of the net. Yeah, I feel like he's worth a bit more than that. Not to mention, we don't even have a backup left back at the team at the moment. We have two left backs, but they're both out on loan at the moment. We got the new guy Skrilelj, and we also have Ngo, who just got his work permit, but I couldn't bring him back for some reason, or I decided not to. I think in the end I decided not to bring him back because we're going to keep Rodriguez anyway. Brilliant little tackle there by Silva. He does look like a pretty decent centre back, the 20-year-old Portugal international. Redmond to McCourt. Redmond again, can he use his pace? Got Sakai. Back to Redmond, back to Sakai, who's got space now. Crosses it. Oh, that's an own goal, I think. Van Beek. Yep, Van Beek own goal. So we've got our second. We might look to make a substitution here. We'll actually bring Sakai off. A little bit fatigued there. Not playing too well on a yellow card as well. Yeah, we'll bring Hurst on for Balic, just a little bit more solid defensively with Hurst and Wanyama both as our two central midfielders, as opposed to the more creative Balic. But Hurst, quite creative himself, 15 passing, 12 vision, as opposed to Wanyama's 11 passing, 10 vision, I think. So probably the two more creative out of the two more defensive central mids that I have at the moment. Zivkovic in behind. Can he get it? No, he almost got our third. That's a decent block by Rowe. Shaqiri with the corner. It's cleared away quite easily, but out for another corner. So he'll get another chance to put it in. Swings it in. Redmond back into the... their goalkeeper gets it. Was nearly back into the danger zone, but not to be. Okay, so I might actually look to bring McCourt off here. Oh, we've all made all... Okay, never mind. Yeah, I forgot about Kostic's injury for Shaqiri there. Oh well. All good. Players are a little bit fatigued, of course, with that FA Cup game we had recently. Another thing to mention as we come to the end of the game here. Nice little 2-0 victory. Finally get our first victory over Newcastle. What a win. But yeah, I played the African Cup of Nations with Senegal. We got knocked out in the quarterfinals. So, I'll show you the game in a second. Such a disappointing way to go out. We were nearly through to the semis, and then we actually versed Algeria, and Algeria managed to score a very, very lucky late goal. And then in extra time we got battered. Okay, so as you can see, we opened this. Oh, sorry, they opened the scoring through who else but Mahrez. We got one back through Mane. Mahrez put them 2-1 up. Bolhi own goal. I think that's their goal. Yeah, their goalkeeper. So we were it was 2-2 at that point. Baldy Keita then scored a pretty awesome goal, not gonna lie. And then who else but Nabil Gilas in the 90th minute gets the equaliser at 3-3. Yeah, and then in extra time, Islam Slimani managed to get a brace for himself. So yeah, that meant us out of the competition. It's still going currently. You've got South Africa, Cameroon, DR Congo and Algeria left. And out of those, I probably think the final will probably be DR Congo and South Africa. So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, current holders are actually DR Congo as it stands at the moment. So that's kind of why I think they're going to make it the final again over Algeria, despite Algeria having a very decent team. Anyways, guys, that's going to wrap this episode up. I hope you have enjoyed it. I know I said I was going to look at Lopez's injury, but I think I won't bother doing that and boring you guys any longer. Lovely little 2-0 victory over Newcastle United, who were in first place and we had never beaten them before. So I think the series is looking up with this new tactic. It looks really good. I'm enjoying playing with this type of system as well. Nathan Redmond picked up Man of the Match award today as well. If you've enjoyed the episode, guys, drop a like. Leave me some feedback in the comment section below as well. And I'll be sure to reply to you. And apart from that, guys, take it easy and goodbye.